Hello, welcome to the Bath Studio School. We're very excited to have you here today, and yeah.
John, could you please tell us about your background in film documentaries?
Firstly, thanks very much for having me on. And I mean, my experience in production and broadcasting, it kind of started back in 1994. So and there was a lot of luck involved in that, to be honest, and that can be the case when it comes to actually establishing a career in television and film. And I just literally, I mean, I don't like cliches, but I was in the right place at the right time in Glasgow, and I was kind of doing media studies. I didn't grow up in Scotland, I didn't grow up in Glasgow, I grew up in Africa, so I'd only been in the UK for a short period of time, wanted something to do, and while I was at this media organisation, being trained in different aspects, I didn't really know anything, to be honest with you. I had no experience in broadcasting at all, and up the road was Scottish Television, and what they would do is they would take people from this media training organisation that I was part of and use them as runners for maybe a week or a month or however long they needed them. So one day they needed someone, and I was asked to go up and speak to someone up there who would later, years later, become a very close friend of mine and my head of department.
So you never went in with like any intention of going to do documentary films then?
No, not really. I'd always been in South Africa. I trained as a civil engineering draftsman, but I'd always been interested in not necessarily being on camera, but being involved behind in actually creating something on screen. And I'd always been interested in that. But when I was, where I went to school and college, we never had what you all have here now. There wasn't really any way to get this kind of experience that students now have. So it was very, very limited. The options that I had when I was your age, they were very, very limited. And so the opportunity never really presented itself. And then so it took me to kind of come over here for a holiday. My intention was to stay for a month in the UK and then go back to South Africa, and I ended up staying and then began a career. I'm sure it was a very successful career in broadcasting and a new life in the United Kingdom, and then that's how it began.
So, are there any examples like we could have a look at?
Yeah. I mean, I've brought just a short kind of film with me to kind of give you an example of some of the stuff that I've done, and then what I'll do is I'll just play it now.
Okay.
These are just kind of snippets of what bits of work that I have done. Please excuse how I look in 1996. I was a lot younger, and I think hairstyles of the 90s have a lot to answer for. So, but apart from that, I'll just give you an idea.
That was some great piece of footage right there.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that basically, those are just kind of snippets of what has kind of happened. There's been so much more that I've been really, really fortunate enough to have been kind of part of, and I mean 1996 I spent as a production journalist and reporter with the newsroom in Scotland and with Scottish Television, and STV is part of ITV, and how I ended up there was, I went up for that interview that day when they were looking for a runner, and basically if it's one of the things that I want to say to students here is that what they should do, it's just a suggestion on my part, is try and get in somewhere, even at this early stage, whether it be with a local newspaper or a local radio station, anywhere, because that is the difficult part. It's actually getting in. You can have as many qualifications as you like, and that is important. It's massively important, but there's such a high demand for many students all over the country who want to get into this field. So the earlier that you can make contacts with people who work in broadcasting, it doesn't have to be the BBC, it doesn't have to be ITV, it doesn't have to be Sky. I mean, this can be any kind of any kind of organisation that's involved in some kind of broadcasting, that's the key to actually getting in the door. Getting in the door is the most important part of attaining a career in this kind of aspect of media. And then, so I mean, I did that, worked as a researcher on different programs for a couple of years, and then I was moved into current affairs. I went undercover on 3 documentaries, expose productions for Scottish television, and then after I did those 3 undercover programs, I was asked to go into the newsroom, and I didn't want to be on camera. One day I'd just been in the newsroom for a couple of weeks. I'd been doing voiceover reports, and the head of news phone called me in and asked me how I was doing. I said, yeah, loving it. And he said, how do you feel about being on camera? And I said, well, to be honest with you, would you want to put this face on camera? And I laughed. I said, I'd rather not, really. I said, I'm quite happy to stay behind the camera and create things. And he said, that's all I need to know. And then the next day they put me on camera. And I think he just wanted people who didn't want to be on camera. So,
yeah.
And I did that for about a year. And that piece is very important to me because, I mean, I worked in broadcasting in television for 14 years. And lots of people have asked me, they said, what was the highlight of your broadcasting career? Because I have met a lot of so-called famous people. But for me, the highlight of my broadcasting career and my television career was meeting that old soldier and interviewing that old soldier from the First World War. Yeah. You know, I had the privilege of sitting opposite history, and he shared his stuff with me. So yeah, that's why.
Thank you. I think we're going to have to take a short break now, but thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to Bath Studio School. We're continuing our interview with John Thomson. Can we carry on talking about your previous footage?
Yeah. I mean, as I was saying before the break, you know, the highlight for me during my broadcasting career, it wasn't meeting famous people. It was meeting that old man, that veteran of the First World War, who, if I remember correctly, survived the war, and he was in the trenches from 1914 to 1918. So that in itself is nothing less than miraculous. And I remember what he kept talking about was it wasn't the machine guns or the bombs that seemed to have had the most effect on him. It was the cold. He talked about the cold all the time, and I don't know if many of them froze to death. I don't know the answer to that, but it affected him more, the cold, having to sit in the cold in the mud and all that for all that time. And that's one thing about being an interviewer, and it's one thing that I'll always say to young people who are planning on moving into a career in filmmaking is that really what we do at the end of the day is we are storytellers, and we tell the stories of others, you know, other people who have a story to tell, and that's quite a privilege, and that should always be respected. And because when you find yourself in a situation where you're interviewing someone, especially about something that's deeply, deeply personal to them, you know, it's quite a privilege to actually be able to sit opposite someone and listen to what they have to say. You know, there's a big difference between, say, being a news reporter going out and interviewing an MP or interviewing a doctor or interviewing whoever else for a very quick soundbite, to take back to the edit suite, turn it around, anything, it's newsworthy, get it out, because that's what you do in news. But when you're sitting down, you're spending time with someone, and they're talking about something that's really deeply personal to them, then you know you need to. There's only one way to get someone to open up about stuff, and that's to spend time with them. And beforehand and establish a rapport. It's absolutely paramount to anyone who's thinking about going to documentary filmmaking. You don't just turn up with someone and then start asking them questions and then walk away. You know, you need to get to know them.
So how did it make you feel when you were like talking to that veteran?
It was very moving. It was very, very moving. I mean, to be honest with you, I couldn't actually believe that I was there, because I couldn't actually believe that I'd managed to find one, because in 1996, when that was a special report that went out on Scotland Today in Scotland, and he was 101 then. Yeah. So he won't be around anymore, and so it was quite a surprise to find a soldier who was still alive, and it was very, very, very humbling, very, very humbling, and. I'm not interested in famous people or so-called celebrities, and I have met quite a few, more so to do with football, because from the newsroom I was asked to go in to the sports department as an assistant producer, and then I went on to become producer director in sport. So I have met quite a few well-known footballers, and but that the old man, the soldier, was. He's the highlight of my career, really, so far.
Yeah.
So now, moving on a bit, can you talk to us through your documentary making?
I think for anyone here who is serious about becoming a filmmaker, I think the first thing is you have to really want it. You have to really want it, because you're gonna have to fight for it. You're going to have to persevere, and you're going to have to make the contacts that I mentioned earlier on. You'll need to get to know people who are in the business, and through that way, you'll start to find yourself kind of meandering through the industry. When it comes to actually constructing a documentary, I mean, obviously you're telling a story, and the story will come from an individual or two or three people. And really what you have to do then is you have to get to know them. A documentary really is about, for me, it's about people or a person talking. If it's just one person, then as an interviewer and as a filmmaker, my job is to build a rapport with them, make sure they're completely at ease. I never ever go in with a list of questions. I never have done. And the reason for that is the first job that they sent me out to cover, the first news story that they sent me to cover out in the newsroom. I had a mentor in the newsroom. There was a journalist who'd been there for years, and he was just making sure that I was okay. So they said they sent me out on my first job, and I was getting ready to leave the newsroom, and I was writing down all these questions to ask. And Mike kind of sidled up to me and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just writing a list of questions for the interview. The crew are meeting me around the back in 20 minutes. So I'll just draft up a list of questions now." And he just said to me, he said, "If I ever see you do that ever again, I'm going to put my foot so far up your backside." And I said, "Well, why? I need questions. I'm going to interview someone." He said, "You need one. You need one to get them to start talking." He said, "After that," he said, "you should be listening to what they're saying. They will be giving you the questions in their answers, because if I'm not listening, if I'm focusing on my next question, I'm not listening to what this person's saying." Yeah. And it makes perfect sense. So from that point on, so that's from 1996 to now, once I've established a rapport with someone, they're comfortable, I'm comfortable, they trust me, I then start throwing them questions. But the first one will always be, let's say it's about, I don't know, someone who, let's say someone who is about to walk the Great Wall of China. Yeah? Okay, to raise charity, money for charity. So my first question will be, why are you doing this? That's all I need. And then they start to tell me, and then I listen to what they're saying, and I'll pick up bits. "So you said this, what do you mean by that?" And that is it. And as you're doing that, you're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into them. They start to share more, they start to open up more. Yeah. I could go in with a list of questions and ask them, and they'll just give me answers. I don't want just answers. I want this stuff. Yeah. The only way I'm going to get this stuff from them is if I start to kind of move through.
So could you tell us a little bit about the film course at Bath Spa?
The film and TV course at Bath Spa is it's fantastic. It really, really is. It's still quite. It still has a relatively small number of students, so it's a very intimate course. So getting access to the lecturers and the technical demonstrators, the people who work there, the staff, is very easy. The facilities that they have there, they pretty much have an actual television studio gallery in the uni, and it's a fantastic course, and I really would recommend, because to anyone here who's interested in really seriously interested in progressing into this as a career, go to Bath Spa Uni, because they spend a lot of time teaching the students and showing the students all the various aspects, all the various disciplines of filmmaking and also drama as well throughout the 3 years, and the staff. I mean, I'm one of them. Are fantastic and very approachable, and really it's a hands-on course. You know, it's mostly hands. It's a lot of it is hands-on. So you will leave, if you leave here and you go there, you will be making your own short film documentaries. You will be producing and being part of your own multi-camera drama in the studio. You'll be with building sets, all sorts, you know, and the students there are doing really well.
Yeah. So how are you? Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
How are you involved with Bath Spa then?
I am one of the technical demonstrators with Bath Spa. What I do is, because a lot of when I worked in broadcasting, when I worked up in Glasgow, for the latter, say, kind of 8-9 years of my time, my job title was producer director. So what I would do is during the week I would produce and pull the programme together, pull together the running orders for the programmes, write all the scripts, allocate, reporters go here, there and there. But then as soon as I walked into the studio gallery, my role changed to director. So I would direct the programmes live on air. And my job there is at Bath Spa Uni is, because they have such an incredible studio gallery, myself and 2 other people, we are pretty much in the gallery all the time, and we show and kind of we oversee the students and teach them, you know, correct gallery discipline, how the gallery can work, how they can use it, in exactly the same way as it would if they were to walk into a gallery, either at the BBC or Sky. There is a discipline to a gallery, and that all centres around the director. I mean, you've heard the saying, calling the shots. I mean, that's where it comes from. The director calls the shots, and he or she oversees what is happening. And but yeah, they enjoy it. So that's primarily what I do at Bath Spa Uni.
Do you currently edit like your documentaries and everything?
I think I do. I do. And if I was to say, there's a couple of things that I would. This is so important. I think making a documentary really is obviously you have people talking on camera about they're telling a story. They have to be the priority in any production, making sure that they're okay, and getting out of them what they want to share, you know, with yourself. Getting the shot right. You're not just pointing a camera at a person. Look at where you're pointing the camera at a person, where you're doing the interview, making use of either artificial light, but if you can, then natural light, for example. This time of year, we've got some incredible twilight, you know, so if you wanted to interview someone using twilight, setting up the camera so that you catch maybe flickers of that light coming across the lens, it's using what we have. We've got so much around us that we can use that, but sometimes, and a lot of the time, we don't need anything else. So it's being creative, and it's for each one of you and your peers, you know, the students who you're with, you know, be confident in your own creativity. I mean, you're all here for a reason. You're all here at Bath Studio School because you are creative and because you want to move into this field. So be confident in yourselves. If you have an idea that's maybe not the same as what other people are thinking, just say it, just do it, and say, well, why don't we shoot it that way? Because you may actually be starting your own trend. You know. So, and if there's one thing I need to say this, the importance of sound. The importance of sound. Sound is massive in any production. You know, I think a lot of, and I still do. It's always trying to get the right shot, get the right shot. But trust me, there've been a couple of occasions when I've gone out and I've got the right shot, but I've messed up the sound, and it is the worst feeling because sound plays a massive part in any production, and if used properly, can actually make a production a whole lot better.
Yeah. So can we have a look at the second clip now then?
Yeah. This is just a couple of minutes. I'll probably crash out of this at some point, but there's a reason why I wanted to show you this. Okay.
This was obviously a minute long, but like, could you please tell us the main difference between a documentary film to other formats of film?
I mean, I primarily focus on documentary, you know, and there's something about there's something about it has to be real, and the truth is very, very important.
Yeah.
You know, I've made I think two other films which were scripted and acted, and you know, they were kind of almost, there was a kind of documentary feel about them, but really they were acting students who I worked with and directed and filmed, and it did what it was supposed to do, and the client was happy with it, and that was at Bath, that was at Royal United Hospital Bath. I've made a lot of films for NHS organisations, but it has to be real and it has to be true. You know, it's so. I mean, I've only ever worked in news, sport, current affairs, where it's all real. Documentary filmmaking, undercover stuff. So it. I mean, and I don't think. I mean, that film that you've just seen the clip from now. I mean, that runs 22 minutes, but that guy. It was just. I just wanted you to see that. He was sitting opposite me, and he was telling me about how he abused heroin, and he used heroin and alcohol, and all sorts of other drugs. How he came from he comes from a very loving family. His mum was a policewoman. His dad's a builder. You know, his brother, just like one of you guys. You know, and this guy in the film was he could have swam for England. He was a very, very gifted footballer, but he is the type of person who as when he was younger, he started messing around with drugs, and that was it. And he ended up in prison, and then he found his way out of prison. He volunteered to go to a house in Devon, which is called the Lighthouse Project, with other guys, and they live together, and they're starting to learn how to live again. You know, and I just wanted to show you that, because you need to establish that rapport with someone. When someone starts to share that stuff, and it's really, really can be really difficult for them. But the only way you'll get that truth, that honesty from them is for them to trust you. So you have to build a rapport with your interviewer.
So how actually did you get him to like open up to you? Like how did you build that level of trust with him?
Well, I'm in recovery as well. So I've been in recovery for 7 years, and it's something that I don't mind talking about. You know, a lot of people kind of are quite embarrassed, or they feel ashamed, or they feel as if they're going to be judged because they say that they're in recovery. And but for me, it's just part of kind of who I am, and I just don't drink anymore, you know. And I haven't had anything alcoholic for 7 years. So, it's. And my recovery is very important to me. So really, I mean, filmmaking in the Southwest is. I've produced a lot of work on on substance misuse, recovery from substance misuse. I've worked a lot with the NHS and other recovery agencies in this part of the country and up north. And so really what I did was, and the reason, see, I didn't have to share that with you. I didn't have to say, well, I'm in recovery, but it's not a big thing for me. It has completely changed my life, but I'm not, it's what I am, and it's part of who I am. And all of that stuff had to happen for me to be here now, but I won't go into that. But so I shared my stuff with him, and then he shared his stuff with me. So he felt comfortable because he knew, he thought, actually, hold on, this guy's in recovery as well, so I'll be the same. And as soon as we established that rapport, he relaxed. Because he knew the questions I was asking him, I kind of knew the answers, but I needed him to say them, you see. And so, as an interviewer, you use your own experience in life to identify, if you can, with who you're interviewing. So if you have had a similar experience as someone who you're about to interview, you can identify with them. You say, you know what, I know what you mean. This happened to me, and then that happened to me. So, or my brother this, or my sister that, or my mum and my dad. If there's something that you've got a life experience which relates to the person who you're about to interview, use it, because that will put them at ease as well. So I mean, I've interviewed women in a women's prison not far from Bristol. I was one of the few to be allowed to go in with a camera and interview them, and that was powerful for me. That was because as soon as they found out that they were in for all sorts of different crimes, but they all had issues, they all had problems with substance misuse. And I thought when I went into the prison, I said to the officials in the prison, I said to the staff, I said, they won't speak to me because I'm a man. There's no way they're going to speak to me, because most of them had been in some way or another abused by men as well, you know. But as soon as I said to the women who were in the prison, we all sat down in a room, and I told them that I was in recovery, and that's why they were there, to find recovery. They started talking to me.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of incredible stuff caught on camera.
So could you run us through like the average day of like filmmaking? Like, what's the process like? Well, for me, I'll probably work backwards. I don't tend to edit during the day. I just find it suits me more to edit at night time. Yeah.
I'll probably be editing from 6 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And filming kind of during the day, really. A lot of it depends on when people are available, when they can make it to be interviewed, or, you know, one of the important things about if I was to interview you, take you somewhere. One of the things I would say is if I was to interview you on what your kind of aspirations are for the future and where you see this taking you, I think one of the first things I'd say to you is, well, where do you feel comfortable in Bath? What is a place where you go to that makes you feel comfortable, that you can relate to? You know, I mean, is there a place that is kind of your place? I'll ask you the question: is there a place where you feel comfortable?
Anywhere.
Yeah,
anywhere.
What about your hobbies?
Just watch football.
Football.
Go out.
Right. Okay. Do you play football?
Not yet.
Right. Okay. Okay. Do you have a team?
Yeah, I play for the school team at the moment, but I don't really.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Do you have another team, like a?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I will join from the summer.
Right. Okay. So it would be football. I'd take you somewhere football orientated, and we'd do the interview there, and then kind of ask you about what you kind of like to do in your spare time, what's important to you, and then I would film you doing that, different shots of you doing that to dress the interview. Because it's not just about interviewing, you also have to be creative with getting different shots to drop in to the interview. So when it's busy, to answer your question, it can be from 6 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. Not gonna lie.
So another question is, how much money can be made in the documentary filmmaking?
Well, yeah, I mean, I made my first $1 million by 2000. I'm on my 10th million already, and no. The honest answer to that is I think when I went into broadcasting, it was still very much the days of you could still expect to get a staff job, and you thought that you would be with the broadcaster or the organisation for the rest of your life. But that doesn't happen now. It's become quite a kind of transient industry. It's very fluid. So what you have to your advantage is you have the internet, and you have cameras, and you have editing software, and you have so much available to you so that you can produce your own work and launch it out there for people to see.
Yeah.
You see, that's kind of the way of the business now. You have everything that you need to be able to promote yourselves.
Yeah.
And for anyone who is really serious about all of this, you would be insane not to be using what you have right now.
Yeah.
Because this is the way that the industry works now. So I would say that sometimes you'll get paid really good money. Sometimes I get paid good money for the clients who I make films for. Other times it's okay, it's not too bad. But I think I'm one of the fortunate ones, because I do have a reasonably regular rollover of work. But it all goes back to what I said right at the beginning. You have to make contacts.
Yeah.
You have to get to know people, and then, because that is the best form of advertising. Word of mouth is the best form of advertising. So if I get to know you, you ask me to make a film for you, I make a film for you, a promotional film, whatever it may be, you're delighted with it, you're happy with it, hopefully. Yeah. A week later, okay, you bump into, you're having a drink together in the pub. Oh, I saw your film. Who made that? Oh, it was that guy, John. Yeah. All right, I'm going to give him a call, and bump, bump, bump. And that is it. But you have to network, and you have to get to know people.
So,
overall, do you enjoy your job?
I love it. I've never since 1994 when I went into broadcasting. It's I don't know how many times I've actually said I've actually said this, but I remember when I was in the newsroom or in the sports department, and every now and again, I'd be sitting with my colleagues and we'd all be kind of writing away, and I'd kind of look up at one of them and say, "It really does beat a real job, doesn't it?" And it does, because it doesn't feel like a real job. It doesn't feel like a real job, but it is hard work. It's long hours, and I don't think I could, it's 9 to 5 was never really for me. It's only something that I've been doing recently, being up at the uni, but the hours are long. It can be very stressful, and you don't really have much of a social life.
Yeah.
When you're working in broadcasting, not really, because the hours are very, very long. So you have to be really, really committed. Really, really, really committed. And but if you are committed and you want it, then you'll get it, and it's extremely fulfilling and it's very rewarding.
And last question from us: could you talk through the shooting and editing process again, please?
What I do, and I would make this is really is a strong suggestion to anyone. When you're shooting, think of the edit. Okay?
Yeah.
Time and time again, and I've seen it in the past, and I kind of see it sometimes with students now. They go out and they just shoot everything.
Yeah.
You don't need to go out and shoot everything. If you have an idea, do your interview with your interviewee first. Get a feel, think about, right, what have they said? What did he say? What did she say? What kind of shots do I need to get to illustrate bits of what she said or what he said? Then go out and just wait, get some really nice shots, take them back into the edit suite, stitch them together.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. I always do the interview first.
Yeah.
I always do the interview first.
So thank you for talking to us, but now I think we're going to have some questions from the audience over here.
What do you do in your spare time when you're not interviewing people?
I go to. I used to work in football up in Scotland. I did part in broadcasting, for ITV, and but I'm a Bristol Rovers supporter, so I watch them a lot. So, and any City fans and no, yes,
yeah, in the gallery.
Oh, right, in the gallery, and well, see you soon. And but yeah. To be honest with you, in my spare time, I do research into something that I've been doing for a couple of years. It's to do with kind of ancient medieval history. So I just like to shut myself away and I do research on that by myself. But to be honest with you, I don't really get a lot of spare time. It's because when you're freelance, you're always, if you're working, you're busy. If you're not working, you're trying to find work. So it can be really full on. But I enjoy it.
Next question, please.
Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned like with the broadcasting and stuff, like it's quite a competitive industry. What was there a part of you that thought like, can I do this? Like, am I lucky enough, kind of thing?
Yeah. When I went into broadcast, when I started at Scottish Television, and I can honestly say, I wasn't really a very confident kind of guy. I wasn't confident. I used to kind of joke around a lot, and whenever I was kind of socialising with people and stuff. This is before I started in broadcasting, and I do remember after a short period of time of being with people who were kind of very creative and very kind of forward thinking, and they encouraged people to come forward with ideas about all sorts of different things. It made me very, very, very confident. And I
Did that then influence on you there?
Yeah. I mean, it I'm not going to kind of be melodramatic and say it completely changed me. It didn't, but it made me very, very, very confident. Actually, in some instances, it probably made me too confident. But I probably needed to be like that because, as the kind of years passed, I was given more and more responsibility, and it was a lot of responsibility to have, but it just seemed to come. I was confident I'd do it, and I just did it. And it's. When I think back on it now, the one thing I do miss is doing live directing, live. That's so stressful. It can be, not all the time, but because I was in an environment which encouraged you to be confident and to believe in yourself. It was something that we all. Not saying we became addicted to it, but everyone talked about it. Everyone talked about that buzz of being in the gallery, of being alive. So it helped me. It helped me as a person. It was never just a job. And then I met friends, and then we all became good friends. And the production team who I worked with in sport, there was probably about 12 of us. We became like a family. We did everything together because we worked anti-social hours. We never had days off, and everyone else had days off. Sometimes we didn't have days off, and we became very, very close. So we were together for about 6 or 7 years, and we were like kind of brothers and sisters. And so I mean, I'll always be kind of grateful for that because we're still close. So it's like a world within a world when you're so busy working in it all the time that everything else kind of gets shut out. But I loved it, and I would recommend it if anyone wants to do it. Do your best to get it.
So, sorry. What advice would you give to like young people wanting to follow the same career path as you did?
I think the first thing you have to do really is right now, today, get on the phone, get on the internet, and start looking around Bath and find out which independent production organisations, broadcasters, local newspapers, anything to get yourself in. Just phone them up or send them an email and say, look, I want to get some experience in doing this or doing that, and maybe in some script writing or working with cameras. I'll pick up bags, I'll make coffee, I will do whatever it is you need, and I'll do it voluntarily.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
And get in.
that was a really inspirational interview. Not gonna lie.
Oh,
Thank you for having us today.
Thank you for having me.
So yeah, thank you very much. And that's it.
Is that it?
Yeah.